Miss Kim Rhodey, Olympic gold medalist. How you doing, Kim?
Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm good and glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you with us on the program. Cameron Gray is shrugging his head here. That's all right, Cameron. It happens to the best of us. So, Kim, I got to ask you before we get to this column at USA Shooting, talking about men versus women in competitive shooting. The Olympic Games are coming up later this year. Where are we now in terms of the selection process for the teams that will be representing the United States in London in the shooting sports?
Well, the selection process, part of it has taken place, with the point system that they implemented this year. And me, as well as another fellow teammate, Josh Richmond, he actually also won for men's doubles, has been placed on the team. But as far as all the other events, there might be a couple rifle shooters in there. I think Matt Emmons and maybe a couple other ones. But there's still a selection process still to occur, and that will pretty much determine who's going to be on the team for the rest of the slots, and that will be determined at a later date.
Okay. And in the meantime, this is fascinating. At USA Shooting, they write, as the national governing body for the sport of Olympic-style shooting in the U.S., they welcome the dialogue created by a recent article in the Wall Street Journal by Mark Yost, taking aim at an old debate: can female athletes compete against men? In shooting, yes, but not in the Olympics. And USA Shooting says, Yost points out several interesting facts and observations about our sport. So what do you think about the idea, Kim, of men versus women competing against each other, as opposed to women's events and men's events in the Olympics or in international competition?
Well, there's really no debate. Women just are the better shots. No, I'm just kidding there, Cam. I just had to say that.
So we have to give the men a chance to medal, right?
No, just with joking aside, that's one of the great things about the shooting sports is that it doesn't matter your size, your stature. You could have a jock's physique, muscular build, but, it gives the kids that may not have that physique an opportunity to compete equally with those other kids and that, may not, have the opportunity to play other sports. It's one of those things where shooting actually is based on hand-eye coordination, muscle memory, doing it 1,000 times, nothing different. So it doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, a child. Everybody's on an equal playing field when you step on that line.
Well, I would agree with you, and this is one of the I think one of the great things about the shooting sports is that, and we were talking about this earlier in the program. It's one of the few sports where a 60-year-old can go up against a 20-year-old and not have to worry about that 40-year difference in terms of men versus women competing. I think you're absolutely right. You're on a largely equal footing, and I will go so far as to say, Kim, I've had enough firearms instructors, male and female, tell me that women make better students. Women listen more. That I think there may be something to the idea that perhaps women have a slight leg up when it comes to competitive shooting. But
I can say, with sorry to interrupt, but I can also say too, in my own experience of coaching, I think women approach it with the idea of how do I do this? What can you tell me, teach me? And they really absorb everything that you tell them and put it into action on the field. And that's something that you see a lot, especially with the women shooters. But, men versus women, I know that me personally, I love, to compete head-to-head with the men. I think there's nothing else like it. And, I've been out there many a times. I can remember several shoot-offs when I was younger, going back and forth, and I've won some and I've lost some. So I think it's just that debate that's going to continue.
Do you see it actually going anywhere? Do you see perhaps not the Olympics, but some international meets opening up to co-ed competitiveness, co-ed shooting?
Well, in the old days, the women did compete against the men.
Mm-hmm.
You have some of the Chinese shooters. There's one lady in particular, an international skeet, that actually went head-to-head with the men and did win at the Olympics, set a new world record while she was doing it. And so, there are instances where, it really proves the point that it doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman. Obviously, I think that within our sport, we're looking at a lot larger pools of men to pull from, whereas, I think every year we're seeing that pool of women grow. We're still not quite as many as there are men in the sport. And I think we're seeing a change definitely in our industry, trying to get more women, more kids involved in the shooting sports and in the outdoors, which I think will in turn, you'll see a lot more of that head-to-head competition. Obviously a bigger pool, pulls a lot more talent.
I would agree with that, and we've talked, Kim. We've talked since we signed on the air here at NRA News in 2004 about the next generation of shooters, and I've got to ask you. Clearly, it seems like in terms of the international competition, China has some of the toughest competition that our athletes face. What do you think about the new crop of shooters that's coming up here in the U.S.?
I think the shooters that we have, especially going to this next Olympics, are, amazingly talented. We're seeing across the board in both the men and the women, categories, just, a very strong face. The competitors are, neck and neck. It's really coming down to that last shot, as I think most competitions do. So, we have a very strong team. I think, we were trying to count out roughly how many medals we were hoping to walk away with in London. You never know. You never count your chickens before they hatch, as I always like to say. But, there are some definite, contenders. Look at Matt Emmons. He's been there several times. We have a lot of history with, Matt and, Vincent Hancock, myself, and many other competitors. So there's not only a lot of talent, but a lot of experience that's being brought to this games.
Well, and so looking ahead, what's your next meet going to be? Are you competing here in the United States? Are you going to be competing internationally before the Olympics at all?
Well, actually, the next World Cup, which will be held in Arizona, will be the end of March. So you'll see me there. I'm actually going to be competing in international skeet, and I'm also going to be trying for an MQS in trap, which will allow me to shoot, if I can do it, will allow me to shoot both skeet and bunker in the London Games. So very exciting, and
wow.
No pressure, as they like to say, right?
Absolutely. And looking forward to the Olympics, Kim, given Great Britain's gun laws, and we've talked about this before, the laws that had to be changed in order for the British teams to even practice in Great Britain before the Olympics. And there have been comments, I think, by the mayor of London. He doesn't want individuals under the age of 18 to be allowed into the shooting sports events. It seems to me like this is going to be a very politically charged event compared to what we've seen in past Olympics, I think, because of the location.
Well, I think most definitely, and I think that we just can't give up on that. Right now, I just got an invite by LOCOG, which is the London Organizing Committee, to do an interview that will be showed prior to the opening ceremonies, as well as at some of the venues, apparently. And so I'm flying to New York in the next couple days to do that. So, to have shooting be, asked to be part of that by London is huge, and I'm very excited to do that, to try to put that positive spin and really show shooting in the light that it really deserves. So, of course, I'm going to be there and pushing shooting, and hopefully we can change some of those views.
Absolutely. Kim, as always, glad you could join us on the program tonight. Hope we can do it again soon, and have a great weekend coming up.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Kim Rohde, Olympic gold medalist, joined us on the program.